Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Give it another minute or two for everyone to jump on. I know it's a new time for those of us who've been doing this for a bit. And for those of you who are new, thank you for being here on time. I appreciate that. Yes. I'm so glad you could join us, Tara. When I saw you sign up, I was like, yay!
Yay! I'm so happy to be here. It was, as everything, elegant timing.
Well, you know, timing is everything, and that we will talk about as we go through this book. How timing is so important in what we're doing. So I'm gonna get myself organized here. I got my lovely backdrop. Don't I look like a unicorn horn? And I'm just gonna like evaporate into the beautiful. I love it.
It fits so perfectly.
It's so perfect. I feel like a unicorn horn and some magical music, and I'm just gonna dive right in and live there because that's
love the complementary colors.
Complementary colors. That's right. I am all decked out in my complementary colors. There's Gay. I knew she was coming. There she is.
Hey, Gay.
We're waiting on Kaylin and one other person. We'll just give it another minute and we'll just kind of go through what I wanted to do today. Was talk a little bit about, for those of you who have been here before, what your experience has been through going through the book, for those that are new, so they can get a feel for like, why do we keep doing the same book over and over again? And then also, I want to give you a little feedback from one of the women that couldn't join us, but has been in the group in the past. And then give all the new people a chance to say why they're here and ask questions. And we'll kind of set the container for the group tonight. And then I'll kind of go through how we're going to get through 17 chapters in 14 remaining weeks, because that's always a question. People are like, well, how are we going to do that? There are a couple of chapters that kind of go together. And so we'll be doing, most of the time it'll be one chapter a week, but sometimes it'll be two. So, and you'll know that ahead of time so you can read if that's what your thing is. One thing I do want to say for those of you that are new, and my folks that have been here a while can attest to this, you do not need to read the book to get something out of this group. Like, you could completely skip this whole thing and still get something out of the conversations. I will encourage you, however, to read, because obviously it will kind of set your mind to what we're talking about each week. But the group is really so robust that we all get something out of it, even if we haven't read the chapter. So that's why we keep coming back to the book. So I will ask Anime and Gay to talk a little bit at the beginning here about what they found to be helpful about this first, and then people and have you give your introduction and why you're here. And I won't put you on the spot first, though. So, Gay, Anime, what do you have? What do you have for this as the veterans through this book for us?
Well, I'll go. Okay. The biggest takeaway, the thing that keeps me coming back is, like, I see what a difference it makes in my life to just have like a consistent weekly touchstone. You know, to have all the work and all the play that I'm doing around financial abundance, like just having a touchstone, just having a place, a community to check in with around that work.
Yeah.
And play and pleasure and embodiments and alignments with financial abundance. This time around, quick story. I was on the fence about, joining for this season, and I shared that I kind of hit that wall that a lot of people have hit at some point in the quarantine journey, of some combination of Zoom fatigue and just restlessness and like this like conflicted desires between the benefit that comes with, just having steady touchstones in your schedule versus I want to just clear my schedule completely and just lay in bed all day. And I find that the latter is heightened during certain times of the month for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I forgot that I was on my period while having this moment. Then once I realized
This is
it,
why
I was
I shouldn't type when I'm triggered. And I'm like, I don't know what triggered you. I hope it wasn't me.
like, yes, that was hormonally triggered in my
Hormonally
case.
triggered. Perfect. Yeah.
And so I decided, like, my feelings in this moment are valid, and also my higher self knows the benefit of staying committed to this process and really seeing it all the way through.
Good. I'm
So
glad.
let me go ahead and jump in and,
Yeah.
and continue to keep this at the forefront of my life, because I see how
It's
much.
funny. When you said I might not do it, I almost, for your situation personally, just knowing your story from having been in the group before, I was like, but no, I have so much more real estate knowledge to tell you. It's like, you have to come back because there's so much I want to tell you, right, Jonathan?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I'm so glad that so that you decided to come back, because I feel like the journey that you're on, a lot of my background and experience is so resonates with what you're trying to do. And I was like, but I want to help her. And so I'm so glad you decided to hold yourself accountable and let us hold you accountable for all the stuff that you're doing. So I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you. And I brag that my one of my big goals throughout the work I'm doing here is to own my own home and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got plenty more real estate stuff to talk about. So we got more weeks to do it. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Gay, tell us, why are you back again? You don't have enough of me?
It's for me, it's the people and the immense curiosity I have about EFT and taking it out into other realms. And for the people, people share resources outside of here because of this group, and I've just gotten to know and like the people here so much. So that's been great. For those of you who don't know, I was widowed 4 years ago, and my husband used to do all the finances so I could play in whatever realm I wanted and have a career and everything. And so learning to take that over has been a challenge, and especially, and changing my attitude has been the bigger challenge. So yeah.
Yeah, so, I've noticed a change in you, and especially this last round, like really taking more charge of being accountable to yourself for the little things.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and I don't feel like I'm anywhere as close to arrived yet. Plus, I like to be the example of fixed income because I'm retired. I'm the only one retired, I think. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to let everything play out in retirement. Something, I'm like, so I think I provide that for everybody.
Another viewpoint. We need another viewpoint. I want to share with you just one last veteran perspective. Sally Bennett has decided to step back, and it's the time change of our class going from 8 to 7 is actually, she has an overlap, so she just didn't think she could make it work. But she said I could read this to you guys because she really wanted you, the new people, to understand the impact that this has had on her, and she plans on coming back later. So it said, this group has been great for me on so many levels. I'm really so grateful that you've offered the space and hope to join again in the future. I signed up and will be certified in EFT in a few months. I started the coursework on Saturdays with the most delightful Canadian instructor last month. So she got also the same hooked on the EFT idea that Gay is talking about. Because I'm super grateful for that. I know that this personal work done in your group will reverberate into my clients and my future clients' lives in the form of healing and freedom for a long time to come. That is so huge. And on a personal level, I've been clearing so much from my family of origin chapter, both around desirability, worth, and etc. It's a huge shift personally. I know that there is more that I want to say, but truly this has been life-changing for me, Angel, and I'm really grateful for the class. So although she can't be with us, she's with us in spirit. And then Sasha, who's also been with us, I think twice now, she also has a little bit of a scheduling conundrum where this isn't going to work for her, but she's going to swing back around in the summer and take a little time to get her situation squared away. So we've got some veterans that are hanging around in the wings and are going to pop in from time to time. And then we have some new folks. And so I want to give the new folks a chance to say why they're here and introduce themselves. And I'm going to let Jonathan go first because I know he has a conflict for the next 2 weeks and he's going to have to go early. So Jonathan, I'm so excited to have you here. Please explain yourself. What
Sure.
got you here when we just met on Thursday?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, so I met Angel actually through a roundabout way. I needed a guest on my show last second. One of my guests was interrupted, and so Angel stepped in really fast. I'm a host of a show called Naked Tax Talk, where we bear down to the naked truth about our personal lives, our business lives, and of course our monetary lives. And the reason why I wanted to take her class, and we had just met each other, by the way, but the reason why I was so enamored, is because the interview was, you got to check it out. I mean, it was a really well done interview. And it kind of really got me going, you know what? I think that's what I want to do. I think I want to focus more, again, back on the money side, because this is our story, right? And I know I've done some personal work with my own money clearing, so to speak, and all the other fun stuff that goes with it. But for me, I was just really going, you know what? I think I want to go a little bit deeper. So, right, we can always go on the surface. Sometimes we want to go a little bit deeper, and that's kind of really what I want to do. So I'm hoping to really look at different options and other people's ideas of how you handle money and cash flow and, all of the fun things. And of course, being a tax expert, like I think about it from a tax perspective first.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm super excited to have Jonathan here. If you haven't caught, I put the replay up of our talk from last Thursday. I did put it in the group. If you haven't seen it or you can't see it, let me know. Jonathan's going to update some of the the content so you can tell that it's me that he's interviewing, because obviously we weren't expecting all of that to happen. So when I have that, I'll post it in the group for everyone to see. But I know, Gay, you watched it and David watched it, and I've watched it again because it was just so fun and juicy and exciting. And the way that Jonathan thinks about the feminine power is so oriented to this group and the work that we've done with Mama Gina that I was like, he has to be a part of this. I was so excited that he wanted to do it. And I think his expertise and his background is going to be a huge asset to the group as a whole. So I'm really glad that you could join us, Jonathan.
Oh, I think that's what came in the mail today.
Yeah, that's the book I sent. Yeah, you got it today. So
They came in, I was right in the middle of processing. Let's see if this is the book. Hold on, it's like Christmas. It is like Christmas.
yeah.
So yeah, so there it is. Boom.
Boom.
So yeah, so I'm really looking, like I said, I'm looking forward to it, to whatever way I can contribute. I'm also a nerd. Like I love to read. So that's like my thing, right? I love to read. And so when it was like, oh, we read this book and we study it and we do this and we do that. And I was like, well, that's really what I wanted a lot, was like the book study part of it. That's just
to keep you on track and make sure you do it. Yeah, that's really what this is about. We're holding each other accountable to get through this material. Because I don't know about you, I have stacks of books in my house and the covers are not bent. This one is worth going through a couple times. So I'm so glad you could join us. I'm glad the book got there fast.
Yeah, and I wanted to just pop in and just say hi to everybody. Like I said, I've got my own class that I'm teaching tonight. Actually, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're talking all about deductions, so that's gonna be a lot of exciting. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself, and then spend a little time, hear what you guys got to say, and then I'll skedaddle out of here in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I yield the floor, and thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, we'll see you more in full after daylight savings time when you're on the same same time zone as we are. So he's in Arizona, so that'll be helpful.
Yeah, we don't change time zones, thank goodness. So.
Yeah, I know. I want to live there because we hate it. Thank you for being here. Who would like to go next? Tara, Elizabeth, David, who wants to introduce you? Tara, go for it. Jump in.
Hi, everyone. Tara. So Gosh, it really does feel like an alignment of the stars. I've been tapping keeps coming up for me, and so I've been really kind of opening up to hearing more about that. And I also, a couple of years ago, after doing School of Womenly Arts for the second time, I spent a lot of time spring cleaning on money and like the fears that came up, and so I've been doing a lot of work. And I took a huge leap of faith and decided to take over. I own a property that has, it's mixed use, so part commercial, part residential. I decided to not renew my commercial tenant's lease and take over that space and do this huge renovation and open up an event space. And then the pandemic hit. And so I feel like that was like a little bit of a setback for me and back into kind of some of that scarcity mindset. And I'm getting ready to like actually launch and open the space. Like I'm in the process of doing one more renovation, I swear. And I'm feeling like I need a little bit more kind of momentum behind me and supporting me in this space and really calling in the abundance that I so desire in making this space profitable and exciting and and potentially bigger than my day job. So really looking forward to kind of diving in.
That's great. I think you're going to find that the tapping is going to be a huge help in letting go of some of the fear and the stress that pandemic has put on us all. And get you ready for that, to be open, to allow things to come to you. I think you're going to really like it. So I'm so excited you're here.
I'm excited too. Thank you.
David or Elizabeth?
I'll go. I know most of you. I was actually in like the mini round one. And yeah, so whew. So I'm a dating coach, and before pandemic, the former husband is taking me back to court for more child support. And so I know that I have some chaotic vibrations about work and earning and feeling and being, I feel abundant. But the earning, there is some chaotic vibrations because of this court trial, which will be hopefully over the end, supposed to be over March 31st. That's the second trial date. And so, yeah, I feel like I have a lot of blocks because though I'm capable and I'm open, there is something that's holding me back. And so I really want to release that and accept, because I know the abundance is there. I mean, I can see it, I can taste it, I can smell it. I visualize it all the time. But yet there is still that chaotic vibration where, come here, no, not yet. Wait till after March. So I'm hoping the tapping, I had been fascinated about tapping, I guess, since you introduced this.
Yeah.
And I really want to go deeper in that and learn so much more.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. I was introduced to it from a friend of mine who wrote a book for children. And I think in one of the previous classes, I actually showed you that book. And I've shared that with my son. And it's funny now because my son has ADHD and he has meltdowns sometimes because there's this frustration in trying to learn things and just frustration in general. And I've taught him how to tap, just, tapping on the forehead. And I've noticed now that after having repeated that for a couple of months now, I've been really active and when he's having a meltdown to remind him that he has this option, right? And he'll yell at me and say, I can't tap right now, I'm too upset. I'm like, but that's when you're supposed to tap. That's what it's for. And now he'll do it and he'll immediately start laughing. So somehow we've connected the tapping as a direct circuit to laughter, from complete tantrum to laughter in 2 taps. And then he gets mad at me. He's like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I taught you magic. What are you talking about? So it really is, it's so fascinating how it can completely flip your system from a wiring perspective, like an electrical perspective. So when you're saying your vibration is off, I think you're going to find the tapping is really going to help you rewire yourself as you get to the end of this divorce situation, because you know we all have our stuff, and that's a big one. So I'm glad that you came back and are going to give it another round. So thank you for being here. Yes, and then that leaves us with David. Your sound is on. You're on. Oh, unmute yourself. You muted yourself. Here he is.
I don't do this whole Zoom thing a whole lot, so
I know.
bear with me. I really don't know what to expect from this. First and foremost, thank you for the invite. As most of you know, Angel and I have been dating for quite a while, and I always knew that this was her business. I always knew that this was geared towards ladies, and so I never asked to be part of this, or if I could get into it. And she had recently told me, I talked to the ladies, it's okay. I said, okay, here's my check, let's do this. So thank you, ladies, for having me on. And again, although Angel and I have talked about this on some occasions, as far as the principles of the book, it hasn't been enough to give a finite detail of, yeah, this is what I really need. But I am looking forward to learning more about this, diving into the book that she just so happened to give me for Christmas. So I think she subconsciously planted the seed of, I will get the check next. And we go from there. So, and that's all that I have.
Okay. If I give you the book, you will come to the class. That's the
Well, I gave you the check at least.
Yeah, that's the market. That's the marketing. That's the marketing. Yeah. No, David's actually witnessed a lot of change in my life financially over the last couple of years that we've been doing this book. And so he had some curiosity about it and put the book on his wish list. So he's making it sound like it was all my idea, but not exactly all my idea. So when I talked to the ladies that have been here before, I'm like, okay, the gender thing, I've got someone who really wants to be part of this, and is it going to be okay? And so I'm actually glad to have two guys in the group. So it's not just David, it'll be David and Jonathan. I think that's going to round us out really well. If you haven't watched the interview with Jonathan and I, Jonathan is gay, I'm bi, David's straight. So we have all kinds of energy in here now, which is great. And so I think we're going to really be able to play off of each other and also get some really good information on all different topics from all of us, because we all have different things that we're good at. So whenever your area of expertise comes up in conversation, don't be afraid to jump in and offer what you can offer, because a big part of what this group is about is sharing what we know, in addition to sharing what we don't know, so that we can fill in each other's gaps. That's really what this is all about. So I appreciate all of you that are here. We do have a couple other people that have signed up that maybe either coming in late tonight because of another obligation, and obviously last minute registrations. So Kaylin, Kaylin's going to join us. If you know Sister Goddess Kaylin, she's going to be joining us. She did say she would, if she could get on tonight, she'd be late. And a couple other people that have been in the group that either tonight was a conflict or they weren't really sure if they could continue because of some other time commitment. So we're still working out a few other people that are interested. So next week we might have a few other new faces, and then we'll introduce those at that time. Housekeeping wise, you had asked me a question, Elizabeth, about will this always be the same Zoom code? In theory, yes. However, with a caveat, Zoom bombing is starting to happen again. I don't know if you've seen that in some of the Sister Goddess posts. I have. I've also seen it in some educational circles. So I reserve the right to change things up if that starts to be in the news more, only because that's one of the ways that Zoom has suggested that people that are running groups to avoid that by changing your code, changing your password, not doing 15 weeks with exactly the same login. So at some point I might have to change it up if that becomes an issue. I don't expect it to become an issue. If some, hot male dancers want to come through, David can just, put his camera on mute and the rest of us will enjoy. But I doubt that will happen. It hasn't happened yet to me on Zoom, fortunately, but we never know. So yes, I think you can safely say that this, this room, my room with the code of money in all caps will be the code for this round. But if it changes, I'll try to give you a heads up, at least in the group chat, so that you know, and you're not trying to figure that out at the last second and not be able to get in on a call. I also keep my phone by my side during calls, just in case someone's trying to get in and they can't. So if you see me look away, it's not because I'm bored. I'm just making sure everyone who's trying to get into the call gets into the call, because sometimes Zoom is a little sketchy about participants and me being able to see them as admin. So just, don't think I'm bored with you. That's not it at all. As far as going through the chapters, chapter 1 is all about basically why people tap and what, like the law of attraction. Most of us are probably familiar with the movie The Secret and the law of attraction and some of the good pros and cons of that. So that's kind of what chapter 1 is all about. Chapter 2 is the basics of tapping. Now, here's the thing, like I told you, I've been teaching this to my son. This is not rocket science. There's no wrong way to do it. There's a few points on your body that are ideal to hit, but if you miss them a little bit and you're off by a quarter centimeter, nobody cares. And the other thing is, as a group, we have decided to replace one of the tapping points, which is like under your armpit, kind of over here, like on the bra line, with either pussy or penis, depending on what you carry. So you can tap anywhere near your those lower extremities to basically activate your sexual energy towards your business and financial goals. If you're not familiar with why that's important, Think and Grow Rich by one of my favorite authors, Napoleon Hill, talks about sexual transmutation and how you take your sexual energy, put it into your business, put it into your wealth, put it into that part of your life, and it can expand greatly what you're doing. And so we use that same philosophy when we tap in this book. That is not what you're going to read in chapter 2, however. That is me putting that on to, hey, we should do it this way. So just don't be surprised when you see my hands go down at the end of the tap and then we come back up. That's what we're doing. We're getting juicy. So feel free to do that wherever you'd like. So I'm just going to suggest that we go through 1 and 2 on your own. Again, if you don't read it, it will not impact you negatively. But if you do read it, there's actually 2 things about this book I really like. At the end of each chapter, there's a QR code, and it pulls up a video done by the author regarding the chapter that you just read, which is a really great way in between calls to kind of recap what you're reading. Or if you forget to read a chapter or don't have time to read a chapter, this is the cheat. So, don't feel like, oh my God, I don't have time to sit down and read 10 pages. Load up the video and just listen to it. Even if you can't watch it, just listen to it, because it gives you some more information about that same topic. So that's kind of like a bonus that she puts in the book. The other thing to keep in mind is the book is it's how we keep track of the information, but we're also not necessarily always going to talk about it in a linear fashion. And what I mean by that is, yes, we might be doing chapter 3, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to go, oh, that reminds me of something in chapter 10. And I might jump ahead and read you a paragraph or a statement or something from that. And also, as we get further in the book, we might go back. We might find ourselves going back to a previous tapping session to kind of tap back into some of the stuff that, we already kind of talked about. That's a little bit by design and a little bit by accidental serendipity, so to speak, where in our conversations, things loop around and weave in and out, and we just kind of go with the flow. You're going to find here that one topic, let's say Gay comes to the meeting with a question, and then somehow that question leads us down this meandering path that kind of has something to do with the chapter, but really not much. But then by the time we get to the end of the call, we're like, oh my God, that totally has something to do with what we were just talking about. So somehow it all wraps around and comes together. If not in one call, sometimes in two and sometimes in four, but it always does come back around, and it kind of makes sense. So, so when I say we're following the book chapter by chapter, I mean that kind of loosely. I'm gonna tell you that we're in chapter 3. We're gonna do the tapping from chapter 3, but don't be surprised if other bits and pieces come in. Okay. And then the other thing is, don't be afraid to go ahead in the book. There's no spoilers. Some things might need more time for people. I know one of the hardest chapters, the hardest chapters are honestly near the front of the book. It's all about resistance, about trauma, financial trauma. It's about fear, really. And it's facing those fears and really getting real about it. So if you have a lot of trauma or you have a lot of fear, sometimes it's good to kind of read through those chapters in advance with oh my God, I have to master this chapter today. More so just to like have seen the material the first time, and then when we get to that chapter, it's not the sticker shock, if you will, or the shock to your nervous system because you've already seen it. There's some stuff in here that really does make you face some of the things, and that's why this book is so amazing, because it really makes you get unstuck from the stuff that makes you stuck. So I'm just going to encourage you to fan through it. If something catches your eye, or if you read the front page with all the chapter names and something jumps out at you and you're like, ooh, what's that? Jump ahead, because when we get to it again, it won't be as scary. Does that make sense? So that's my use the book to your advantage. It's all here. Just use the book to your advantage. And then the other thing is too, if you have the book version, I believe we're all on the same page most of the time, but sometimes we do get a little off page number wise, depending on editions and if you're on Audible versus the book. So I try to put all of the stuff up online with a chapter title and the chapter number. So at least we're all in the same general area. But if we reference something else, I'll try to make notes about that. And the recordings will be there. So if you miss a call, you'll be able to go back and not really miss much of the conversation. This time around, I am going to record the whole call. Last time we kind of skipped recording some of the beginning, the pleasantries and the, hey, how are you, and the brags and stuff. But I'm realizing in watching back some of those videos from the previous sessions that you miss some of the bonding between people that way. And we also miss kind of the context of the conversation. Like, how did we get to this piece when we're talking about the end of the call, but nobody heard the beginning of the call? So I'm going to just tape the whole thing, and those people in the group will be able to see it. I will tell you, my viewership on these recordings is not very high. So if you're worried about, someone in the group that you don't know very well seeing your stuff, I can promise you that there's nobody that I know of in the group that has all the free time in the world to go back and watch every video. So I wouldn't worry too much. The group is a closed group, and it's only those people that have participated with me through one of the rounds of going through the book. And everybody is very understanding that our container is that what is said here is private, and that it doesn't get broadcast to anywhere else. So if you're bringing your money shit, right, that could mean a different thing for everybody. And so we don't want to, spread that around to other people. So everything that is said here is here, and it's for us to digest. And so just understand that, if you hear someone else's money story, you don't want to be spreading the word to other people. So I think that goes without saying, but I'm saying it anyway, just in case. And it's recorded now, so I said it. You can't. There won't be any issues there. The last thing about the book that I'll just mention is that this particular edition that I'm reading is from 2013. There are references here. If you remember back to 2013, Donald Trump had not been president. Which, you know, is interesting. So when you read the book, it is, I'm not going to say it's dated because the material itself is not dated, but some of the references, pop culture references, if you will, that might be strewn in there, are of a different world. I don't know, have any of you watched a movie lately that was made before masks and been like, what the heck? Yeah. So when you read this, you might have the same feeling in some of the places because she's talking about how life was before a Trump presidency and a pandemic and everything that we've gone through in the last couple of years. So keep that in mind. There's a little bit of cognitive dissonance, I guess is the right word, right? Because we're in one place and this was written in another place. And so I will try to, when I see that in my own reading, I'll try to mention it just in case those people who haven't read the chapter yet or, can kind of prepare for that if it really throws you. But there's one section in particular where she does actually mention Donald Trump as an example. And he wasn't president when she mentions him. So it's really interesting now having the reflection back of what we now know to just how right she was. So that'll be fun when you get to that chapter. So, but I mentioned that because it is an older book. So does anyone have any questions about how the structure of the meetings will go or anything like that? Yes, go for it.
I don't know if it was in this tapping group or a different one I was in. One of them I was in, it went through a lot of negative things that were tapping and wonderful city sounds. And I didn't want to tap on things that were negative. And I don't know if that's typical of tapping money, because it was a money thing.
Yeah.
And how do I reframe? I mean, what's the, I would think it would be all the positive things, but maybe I just don't really fully grasp tapping.
Yep. That's such a good question. Gay is like at the bit ready to answer that.
Yes, I'm from the counseling, human services, all of that background. And so it was very foreign to me, as I know it was to Sally as well, because you never verbalize negative, right? And so I'm from that school as well. So it was hard for me initially to adjust to that, but I understand the concept relative to the acupuncture points and needing that so many things in us are hardwired. And so it's important to attach to where they are first and let them, if you will, surface so that you can then replace them with positive.
And that she does talk about that in the beginning chapters, but I think what happens in this book in particular is we talk about it conceptually at the very, very beginning of the book, but by the time we get to those tapping scripts, we're 3 or 4 chapters beyond that. And I think we kind of forget that that is actually by design. So I'm really glad that you had your experience with that, Gay. I have found in doing it that the negative really bonds the whole thing together in a way that just tapping on positive doesn't. Because how can you release something you can't even speak? Like how can you, if I can't, and the same is true as how can I attain something I can't even speak, right? So there's 2 opposites of the same polarity there. If I can't get over my trauma, if I can't name my trauma, right? And I can't get my desire if I can't specify what that looks like. So it's 2 sides of the same coin, but it is very odd when you first do it. And it's uncomfortable because you're speaking to your inner child, really, and saying all the things that voice in your head, all that negative Nancy in your head we try to tell her to shut up. And at this point, we're like, no, we're going to say those things that we don't really say. But it really does like solidify the positive after it, because you've let go through the tapping of the negative. And so that negative comes down over time. In doing that, it kind of becomes less ugly and it has less of a hold on you, and the positive can take more hold.
I was hoping.
It's a really good question.
So my intention was so that it wouldn't reinforce the negative, but I guess it seems like the tapping is to stop the negative and reframe it into the positive.
Right.
And she introduces a measurement. She asks you to feel. What do you feel? What is your number of how strong that is with you? And if it's still very strong, it's recommended that you continue to tap on that script.
Right. The negative script, yeah. Until you can say it without it being triggered, until you can bring that level of angst down in your body. Because the whole idea of tapping is that you're rewiring those thoughts and to bring them down and to shut them up. It's really interesting, but very, very strange for first timers. So that's a really good question. I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you so much.
And just one last thing. It also speaks to getting out of your head and appreciating the wisdom of your body.
Yeah. Oh, and that actually reminds me, Gay, how many times have you yawned after a tapping session so big that you thought your jaw was going to break?
Yeah.
There is some physical release in this program. You might have gastronomic distress. You might, burp and fart and yawn and stretch and crack, and your body is releasing negative stuff, literally rewiring you as you're doing this. And so you're sometimes I get like that anxiety, that twistiness in your stomach or the heaviness in your chest. And then that's why a lot of times you'll see in between tapping sessions, between the negative and the positive, I encourage you to really stretch, because when you're talking about negative, your tendency is to shrink into yourself. So I can really encourage you to stretch it out before we go to the positive, again, giving your body an extra release. So you're going to feel some stuff that's going to be weird. I'm going to tell you right now. There was one tapping session last year where during the tapping session, my eye started twitching and wouldn't stop for a day and a half. Just twitch. And it was like it had triggered something. Something that was going on, and that was the manifestation. And then after I had tapped on that negative for a couple of days, it subsided. So weird stuff. Don't be alarmed. You're not dying. Your body's just letting go of whatever needs to let go of. So, but it is really strange. So just be prepared for that. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I do often try to get a couple extra guests in here if we can swing it. Last year I had my friend Liz come. Liz is actually who connected me to Jonathan. Had my friend Liz come and talk about how pay gap for women and how that's related to how we've been conditioned to not ask for what we need. That was really interesting. She has a whole hour-long presentation that she does about that, and working towards a TED Talk on that topic. So I've got other people in the financial industries that I'd like to this round try to get in if we can, but I also know that having Jonathan here is like a huge help too, because he's going to have a lot of answers for tax questions and business questions in general. So as I can bring those people in, I'll let you know. And usually I do those as like after our call, we'll do, if those people who want to stay can stay. It does get recorded, so it will be in the group if you can't stay later. But I am going to try to bring in a couple other people that can, just talk about their expertise in money and abundance. Because I think the more we hear from those people, the better. The other thing I've also gotten for all of us is a membership to the Motley Fool, which is a stock program where they teach you a little bit more about stocks. David and I are sharing that program as a couple, and anything that we learn through that, I try to, let you know about. So, if those guys say, hey, buy, I don't know, Tootsie Roll, because they're going to come out with some new product or something. If I get a heads up, I'll let you know. I'm not a stock advisor. I don't have any of that stuff, but I think as friends that are working on money, anything I can share. And I encourage you to do the same thing. If you see something in the news, something in a local paper, if you see something that looks interesting that's related to money and abundance, put it in the thread, put it in the group, take it or leave it. You know, it's there for everyone's use. And if it's for you, great. And if it's not, that's fine too. I think that's really it. I mean, we're just gonna go through the book. We're gonna talk about all our money shit, and we're gonna let it go because that's how you move forward. So for next week, we're gonna start going into chapter 3. So 1 and 2 again on your own. Chapter 3, if you read it, great. If you don't read it, that's fine. But chapter 3 is where it really starts to get into what money is all about. The 5 categories of money, and why each of those has its own challenges. And then we'll really start getting into it. Chapter 4 will be week 3. Chapter 4 is one of those chapters that's like, what do you really think about money? Like to really get to the root of your. So we're gearing up towards that. And I like to get to that chapter relatively quickly because the sooner we can tackle that, the sooner we can move past it. So, so we're kind of speeding up the beginning of the book to get into the meat of it so that we can move forward. So I have gone through this book, I think 4 times now, 3 times in class and 1 time before that. And I will tell you, it's just like your favorite movie. You can watch it over and over and over again, and you're going to find something new every time. So having said that, when you have a revelation, write it down. I will say if you have a notebook to take notes, what I have found is to put your notes in a way that allow you to kind of go back the next time you read the book and be like, oh, wow, I am so in a different place for chapter 4 than I was the first time I looked at chapter 4, right? So a little bit of journaling is really helpful, or at least just some bullet points, you know, things that will remind you of your progress. One thing I will say is I'm going to ask you to brag. So from time to time, I'm going to say, what's going on that's good? Those of you in the Mama Gina program, you know that bragging is, you know, just one of the best things ever. I give you permission to brag all your financials. And all the little things. And when I said that, you know, Gay remind, you know, all the little things that Gay has brought to us over the years, some of the little things that you've said to me are, you know, in someone else's mind, it would seem really insignificant. You know, I can't even think, for example, but I know there's been all these little moments. Oh, I know, your son's phone bill was one. Like, why am I still paying my grown son's phone bill? And to release that and to say that's not mine anymore. Although it seems like a small thing, it really it wasn't a small thing. It was actually a really big reflection of a change in her caring for people and how she cared for people. So little things like that are braggable, even though they seem little to you, they're actually not. So bring them all, bring all the good stuff and bring all the bad stuff. Don't be afraid to share the shit because can't move through it without sharing it. So that's pretty much it. I will be posting in the group anything I find that seems interesting or related. And I encourage you to do the same. And obviously with all Facebook groups, there will be different levels of engagement. I do not expect you to like or love every post I have. I do not need your validation that much. But if I've put out a question or something that kind of requires group response, I would really appreciate that kind of feedback, especially if it comes to trying to plan something like a guest speaker or something. If I say, hey, would a Tuesday be better or Wednesday or, you know, that type of thing, those kinds of things are really helpful for me for planning purposes. And also, should there be an emergency on my end, i.e. Wi-Fi is not working or some other, you know, internet catastrophe, I will reach out to some of the folks that are around that might have better internet service and have them host the group so that we don't get interrupted, because sometimes we do have some internet challenges here. So yes, Elizabeth, what's your question?
So I'm one of those people who tries to avoid Facebook. Will if it's a question or things like that, will you be putting it in the messenger?
I can try to remember to let everyone know that there is a question up.
Or that would be great.
Yeah, I try not to I can't try to keep the thread to conversational things rather than, group functionality questions. Only because the chat can get pretty robust. Oh, that's another reminder. If you don't like your phone dinging with notifications, go ahead and turn the notifications to this group off. Not because we don't love you, because I don't want to annoy you. Yeah, every Tuesday I'm going to have a Zoom link to put up. Every couple of days there's going to be something going on in the group. And so if you don't like a lot of notifications on your phone, go ahead and turn those off, and then just check in with the group, on your own schedule, as opposed to having us force it into your life. I know some people have too many dings on their phone already, so I don't want to add to that mess. But just a heads up that, if there's a conversation going on between 3 or 4 of us about a particular something that somebody put up, that could easily turn into 15 or 20 messages within an hour or hour and a half. So again, don't want to annoy you. Just be aware that does happen from time to time when we get chatty. And to put the group notifications off, and then you won't get all that, but you'll still be able to see all of that if you want to go back and read it later at your convenience. So,
Angel, what's the name of the Facebook group?
It's Turning on the Money Tap.
Okay.
And the reason I didn't calling it Tapping into Wealth is because I don't own this book.
I don't know if I am a part of that.
I will make sure if you did not yet get an invitation, you'll have one tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure I went through everybody, but I could have missed one.
It's possible I missed the invitation or the edition or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Any other questions? You're all quiet? Good. So we're going to end with a desire. What do you desire to get out of this?
I desire, gosh, I have so many desires. It's hard to name them all.
Bullet point.
Okay, so I desire to, increase the abundance and decrease the scarcity in my life. And I desire to feel really supported and clear in launching my business.
Perfect. So it shall be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it shall be, or something even better beyond your wildest.
Thank you.
For me, it would be increased confidence, which I can always increase around all my financial stuff, and increased in abundance, and increased awareness about EFT and how to take it out into other areas if people have experience with that.
Yeah.
I've been resources. Anime had done a meditation on abundance that was really, really helpful. Or plugged us into that for a month-long challenge or something, and whatever I was able to get from that was, when I could do it, was great. And then Sally had posted this affirmation to use with tapping, and I've been doing that. That was really cool.
You'll see if you have a chance to go through some of the units in the back, some of the stuff that we had from previous stuff. There's some really good stuff in there if you have a chance to look at it. Thank you, Kay.
I think for myself, Angel and I had a very interesting conversation yesterday. And it started off with the train wreck that was perceived to be our financial situations. It took an hour and a half of conversation to find out what she was actually talking about, because I didn't think I was that much of a train wreck. what I finally understood at the end of our conversation was that I know I have a lot of hangups due to past relationships and my financial standing after those relationships ended, and why I'm very guarded about my finances, why I'm very cheap in some respects, to not allowing myself to have new things or do things for myself out of the ordinary. And so as I hear everyone talking tonight, especially those who have been through this, maybe one of my desires after this is all said and done is to come to a happy coexisting place where I can allow myself to overcome those fears from my past to move forward in a more positive direction going forward.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that will be probably more so than you even imagined.
Yeah, your wildest dreams.
Yeah. May it be so.
So it is, and so it shall be.
Absolutely.
And Gay, I forgot to bless yours, and so it is, and so it shall be.
Shall be. Yes.
Thank you very much, Alyssa.
So my desire is to release feeling held back from earning because of this wanting more child support from me. So this release of feeling held back, I have retrained myself to say that as I earn more, I get to pay more child support. And sometimes it works, and today it's not. And so releasing that and allowing the abundance of clients to, for them to feel my energetic vibrations of me wanting to serve, so that they are attracted, the right ones are attracted to me so that I can help them get the results they desire, and in turn be paid financially abundant and fully receive it, and begin taking a paycheck instead of always putting it 100% back into the business.
That's a big goal. I like it.
So it shall be.
So it shall be.
So it shall be, goddess, or something even better.
Thank
Juicy.
you.
And Anime, what can we do for you this time that we haven't done for you already?
Well, I am closer than ever. Oh, and thank you for the shout out, Gay. I'm closer than ever to acquiring my first property. And the image that kept coming back to me for that brief moment, it was out when I was on the fence, was this image of like a miner like digging through a cave, and like 2 feet away from where he's digging from, there's like this pot of gold, and he's like, "Oh, I'm tired of digging. I'm gonna turn back around." And I could feel that energetically, that's an energy that was pulling on me. So I'm like, nope, let me stay the course, because I can feel the difference between like, I really do need to take the break versus like the restless part of me that just wants to like go to the next new shiny thing.
Yeah. It's so funny you should mention that, because I just took a class with Sandra Yancey, who owns eWomen Network, a multinational huge company that she built on her own. And when she was just about to quit, her grandmother said to her, "What if you're 2 feet from the diamonds?" So you're in good company. Exact same metaphor. And she said it in a training last week. So you're in
Oh.
good company.
I love it.
Oh, and I also desire, if anyone knows about, if anyone has received the PPP loan
Mm,
and knows about this new round, because I believe they're allowing if you only have one employee, whereas before you had to have a number of employees.
mm.
And if anyone knows about that.
I was actually going to call my bank about that. So if I find anything out, I'll definitely post it.
Okay.
Because, you know, hey, if the government wants to give me money, I'm going to ask for it. I actually tried the first time and I got denied. Not with the PPP, but the EIDP. They denied me the first time, but this next time, I think maybe I'll be more eligible. We'll see. So I will let you know when I find out. So thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. I'm so excited to get started. I think it's going to be a really fun round, and it's going to be really interesting to see the new folks blend in with the old folks and all of the wonderful interactions that we're going to have. So I'm excited for that. I will let you get on with your evening. And yes, book arrives Wednesday. That's fine. Again, you got plenty of time, so no worries. If you don't get it in time and you haven't read it for Wednesday, for next week, don't stress. Obviously, you know, we're gonna walk through it anyway. So if you don't have the book, it's not a big deal. Okay. I will see you next week. Mwah! Thank you for being here. And and I will if you have any questions about anything, you post in the group, post in the chat, text me, whatever. However you need to get a hold of me, that's fine. Okay.
And I should probably ask permission if it's okay if Mama Gina, my cat, walks in and out, because
My cat's gonna walk in and out anyways. Yeah, cats are there's really no control. They own the world. So
and they don't tell too many people that we know of. So
yeah. I'm sure my little one will be in my face on a call from time to time too. So no worries.
Same.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
all right.
Thanks, Angel.
Bye.
Bye.